Have you ever found yourself in the heat of an argument, heart racing, words flying, and wondered, is there a better way? What if you could face conflict not with chaos, but with calmness, clarity, and control? The ancient Stoics mastered this art, teaching us that true strength lies not in winning battles, but in mastering our minds. In this video, we'll explore 13 powerful Stoic-inspired techniques, from understanding your opponent's perspective to setting boundaries and practicing forgiveness, that will transform how you handle conflict. Whether it's a heated debate or a lingering tension, these tools will help you navigate life's storms with wisdom and grace. Ready to unlock the secrets to inner peace and stronger relationships? Let's dive in. 1. Understanding conflict through empathy, the power of exploring your opponent's mind. Conflict is an inevitable part of life. Whether it's a disagreement at work, a heated argument with a loved one, or even a tense exchange on social media, we've all been there. In the heat of the moment, emotions run high, and it's tempting to react impulsively, sometimes even defensively. But what if you could approach conflict differently? What if, instead of reacting, you paused, took a step back, and truly sought to understand your opponent's perspective? This simple yet profound shift can transform how you navigate disagreements and lead to more meaningful resolutions. The first step in resolving any conflict is pausing before acting. When tempers flare, our natural instinct is often to retaliate or defend ourselves. However, reacting impulsively rarely leads to productive outcomes. Instead, take a deep breath and observe the situation objectively. Picture yourself as a neutral observer, watching the interaction unfold from the outside. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? By detaching emotionally for just a moment, you create space to see the bigger picture rather than getting lost in the chaos of the moment. Once you've paused, the next step is to investigate the why behind your opponent's behavior. People don't act without reason, even when their actions seem irrational or unfair. There's always a deeper motivation driving them, whether it's fear, insecurity, past trauma, or unmet needs. To uncover this motivation, ask open-ended questions like, can you help me understand where you're coming from, or, what concerns are most important to you right now? These kinds of questions encourage dialogue and show that you genuinely care about understanding their point of view. Putting yourself in your opponent's shoes is another powerful way to gain insight into their mindset. Imagine walking through life in their circumstances. What experiences have shaped their worldview? What pressures might they be facing that you aren't aware of? For example, a coworker who seems overly critical may be under immense stress from looming deadlines. A partner who snaps during an argument might be dealing with unresolved issues elsewhere in their life. By practicing empathy, you begin to see the humanity in others and recognize that their behavior isn't necessarily about you, it's often a reflection of their own struggles. Finally, seek the root causes of the conflict. On the surface, arguments often appear to be about specific issues, a missed deadline, a harsh comment, or differing opinions. But beneath these surface-level triggers lie deeper factors such as unmet expectations, miscommunication, or competing values. By identifying these underlying causes, you can address the real problem rather than just its symptoms. For instance, if a colleague consistently misses project milestones, the issue may not be laziness but a lack of clarity about priorities. Understanding the root cause allows you to find solutions that truly resolve the conflict. Exploring your opponent's mind isn't about excusing bad behavior or abandoning your own boundaries. It's about approaching conflict with curiosity and compassion so that both parties can move forward constructively. When you take the time to pause, investigate, empathize, and dig deeper, you'll find that even the most challenging conflicts become opportunities for growth and connection. In a world where division often feels inevitable, mastering this skill can make all the difference. So the next time you find yourself in the midst of a disagreement, remember, understanding starts with a single question: why? 2. The art of choosing your battles, a path to inner peace and better relationships. Life is full of conflicts, big and small. From disagreements at work to heated debates with loved ones or even online arguments, it's easy to feel like you're constantly fighting battles. But here's the truth, not every battle is worth your energy. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that true strength lies not in winning every argument but in knowing which conflicts truly matter. By learning to choose your battles wisely, you can save yourself from unnecessary stress, preserve your relationships, and focus on what really counts. Before diving headfirst into an argument, take a step back and evaluate the situation carefully. In the heat of the moment, emotions run high, and it's tempting to react impulsively. However, as Seneca wisely advised, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. This simple yet powerful concept, what we'll call Seneca's test, reminds us to pause before responding. Take a deep breath, count to 10 if you need to, and ask yourself, is this issue worth my time and effort? Will it still matter tomorrow, next week, or next year? By creating space between the stimulus and your response, you allow yourself to approach the situation with clarity rather than emotion. Once you've paused, focus on whether the issue at hand truly matters. Not all conflicts are created equal. Some touch on core values, long-term goals, or significant relationships, while others are trivial distractions. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoics, emphasized the importance of prioritizing what aligns with your highest principles. Ask yourself, does this debate impact my morals, well-being, or something essential in my life? Or is it just a tiny irritation, a stone in the road rather than a mountain to be conquered? By concentrating your efforts on meaningful matters, you can address them more effectively and avoid wasting energy on petty disputes. Equally important is knowing when to let go. Sometimes, no matter how right you are, engaging in a particular conflict simply isn't productive. As Marcus Aurelius also noted, it is often enough to hold your tongue and let things pass. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're wise. Letting go requires self-control, but it pays dividends in preserving your inner calm. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Honking furiously won't change their behavior, but it might ruin your day. Instead, recognize that some battles aren't yours to fight. By releasing the need to win every disagreement, you free yourself from unnecessary negativity and create room for more important pursuits. Choosing your battles wisely isn't about avoiding conflict altogether, it's about approaching it strategically. Think of life as a battlefield where your resources, time, energy, and emotional bandwidth, are limited. Would you waste ammunition on skirmishes that don't advance your mission? Of course not. Apply this same logic to daily conflicts. Perform a quick cost-benefit analysis. What am I gaining by engaging in this conflict? Does the potential reward outweigh the emotional toll? If the answer is no, it's probably best to move on. By mastering the art of choosing your battles, you demonstrate maturity, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. You learn to navigate life's challenges with grace and purpose, saving your strength for the moments that truly matter. So the next time you find yourself on the verge of an argument, remember, not every hill is worth dying on. Save your energy for the battles that align with your values and goals, and watch as your life becomes calmer, more focused, and infinitely more peaceful. After all, real strength isn't found in domination, it's found in restraint. 3. The power of speaking with calmness and clarity in conflict resolution. Conflict is an unavoidable part of life, whether it's a disagreement at work, a misunderstanding with a loved one, or even a tense exchange online. In these moments, emotions can run high, making it easy to say things we later regret. But what if you could transform the way you communicate during conflicts? What if, instead of escalating tension, your words could de-escalate the situation and pave the way for understanding and resolution? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who mastered emotional control, offer timeless wisdom on this topic. Speak with calmness and clarity. By doing so, you can turn heated arguments into constructive conversations. Here's how to put this powerful approach into practice. The first step is to listen actively. Active listening goes beyond simply waiting for your turn to talk, it means truly engaging with what the other person is saying. Pay attention not only to their words but also to their tone, body language, and emotions. Nod intelligently, maintain eye contact, and avoid interrupting. When you listen deeply, you show respect for the other person's perspective, which helps build trust and rapport. Phrases like, "I understand why this situation is important to you," or, "It sounds like you're feeling frustrated," demonstrate that you value their feelings, even if you don't agree with them. This kind of empathetic engagement lays the groundwork for a more productive dialogue. Next, use "I" language instead of accusatory statements. Accusations often trigger defensiveness, turning a conversation into a battleground. Instead of saying, "You always do this," try framing your concerns from your own perspective. "I feel hurt when this happens because it makes me think my input isn't valued." This subtle shift keeps the focus on your experience rather than attacking the other person, reducing the likelihood of escalating conflict. Using "I" language allows you to express your needs and feelings honestly without alienating the other party. Speaking assertively but calmly is another cornerstone of effective communication. Assertiveness doesn't mean aggression, it means standing firm in your convictions while maintaining composure. Speak with strength and assurance, but ensure your tone remains respectful and measured. Avoid raising your voice or resorting to personal attacks, these tactics only deepen divisions. A calm demeanor communicates confidence and self-control, encouraging others to respond in kind. Remember, as the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "It's not what happens to us that troubles us, but our view of it." Your choice of tone and delivery can shape the entire trajectory of the conversation. Finally, focus on solutions rather than winning or losing. Too often, conflicts devolve into battles where each side is determined to win. But life isn't a zero-sum game, and neither are most disagreements. Shift the conversation toward problem-solving by asking questions like, "What can we do to address this together?" or "How can we find a solution that works for both of us?" This collaborative mindset fosters teamwork and mutual respect, transforming adversaries into partners working toward a common goal. By prioritizing outcomes over egos, you create space for compromise and long-lasting resolutions. When you combine active listening, "I" language, assertive calmness, and a solutions-oriented approach, you equip yourself with a powerful toolkit for navigating conflict. These techniques align with Stoic principles, emphasizing the importance of controlling your reactions and fostering understanding. They remind us that true strength lies not in dominating others but in mastering ourselves. So the next time you find yourself in a difficult conversation, remember, your words have the power to either escalate or resolve the situation. Choose to speak with calmness and clarity, and watch as even the most challenging conflicts become opportunities for growth and connection. After all, the mark of a wise individual isn't avoiding conflict, it's handling it with grace, poise, and purpose. 4. Seeking common ground, the path to resolving conflict with unity. Conflict is an inevitable part of human interaction, whether it's a disagreement at work, a clash of opinions with a loved one, or even a heated debate online. But what if the key to resolving these conflicts wasn't about proving who's right or wrong? What if it was about finding common ground, the shared space where understanding and cooperation can flourish? This approach, rooted in Stoic philosophy, emphasizes shifting from a "me" to a "we" perspective, identifying underlying needs, discovering shared values, and building momentum through small agreements. By doing so, you can transform conflict into collaboration. The first step in seeking common ground is reframing the situation. Instead of viewing the disagreement as a battle between opposing sides, shift your mindset to focus on collective goals. Ask yourself, what do we both ultimately want? For example, in a workplace conflict, both parties likely desire a productive team environment. In a family dispute, everyone probably wants mutual respect and harmony. By adopting a "we" perspective, you create a foundation for teamwork rather than division. This simple change in viewpoint opens the door to constructive dialogue and fosters a sense of unity. Next, dig beneath the surface to uncover the underlying needs driving the conflict. Often, disagreements arise not from irreconcilable differences but from unmet needs, whether it's a need for recognition, safety, fairness, or validation. Take the time to explore what each side is truly seeking. For instance, if a coworker seems overly critical, they might be seeking clarity or higher standards. If a partner reacts defensively, they may feel unheard or disrespected. Identifying these needs helps you address the root causes of the conflict rather than just its symptoms, paving the way for meaningful solutions. Finding shared values is another powerful way to bridge divides. Even in the most contentious disputes, there are often core principles that both parties agree on, values like honesty, respect, or fairness. Highlighting these shared beliefs creates a moral compass that guides the conversation toward resolution. For example, in a community discussion about resource allocation, everyone might value equity in sustainability. By focusing on these common ideals, you can steer the conversation away from blame and toward collaborative problem solving. Finally, start with small points of agreement. Not every conflict will be resolved in one sweeping gesture. Sometimes, progress begins with tiny steps. Acknowledge areas where you and the other party already see eye to eye, no matter how minor they may seem. For instance, you might say, "I think we both agree that this project is important," or "we share the same goal of making our team more efficient." These early agreements build trust and momentum, making it easier to tackle larger, more complex issues later on. By shifting from me to we, identifying underlying needs, discovering shared values, and starting with small agreements, you lay the groundwork for lasting resolutions. This approach doesn't mean abandoning your own perspective or compromising your principles. It means recognizing that true strength lies in connection, not division. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. So the next time you find yourself in a conflict, remember, the path forward isn't about winning, it's about uniting. Seek common ground, and watch as even the most challenging disagreements become opportunities for growth, understanding, and harmony. After all, life's greatest victories are rarely achieved alone, they're built together. 5. Appealing to inner values, the key to resolving conflict with integrity. When faced with conflict, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to win by overpowering or outsmarting your opponent. But what if the path to resolution lies not in domination but in understanding? One of the most powerful techniques for navigating disagreements is appealing to inner values, the deeply held beliefs and principles that guide people's actions. By identifying your opponent's values, finding common ground, framing your message accordingly, and demonstrating alignment through actions, you can transform a contentious argument into a meaningful dialogue rooted in mutual respect. The first step is identifying your opponent's values. Every person operates from a set of core principles, whether they're motivated by honesty, fairness, loyalty, or ambition. To uncover these values, observe their words and actions carefully. What do they prioritize in life? What ideals do they defend passionately? For example, if someone consistently emphasizes teamwork, you can infer that collaboration is one of their guiding values. Taking the time to understand what drives them not only shows respect but also equips you with the insight needed to communicate effectively. Once you've identified their values, look for areas where your own align. Shared values act as bridges, connecting two seemingly opposing sides. Perhaps both of you value integrity, respect, or progress. These shared ideals can serve as a foundation for cooperation. As Marcus Aurelius once said, that which is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee. In other words, focusing on collective well-being fosters individual harmony. Highlighting these commonalities creates a sense of unity and reminds everyone involved that they're working toward a shared goal. With this understanding, frame your message in a way that resonates with their values. Instead of presenting your perspective as an opposing viewpoint, position it as a solution that upholds their principles. For instance, if your opponent prioritizes efficiency, explain how your proposal will streamline processes and save time. If they value kindness, emphasize how your approach promotes compassion and understanding. By speaking their language, you make your message more relatable and persuasive, increasing the likelihood of finding common ground. However, words alone aren't enough, actions speak louder than ever. Demonstrating your commitment to shared values through behavior reinforces trust and credibility. For example, if you claim to value transparency, ensure that your actions reflect openness and honesty. Share examples, anecdotes, or past experiences that illustrate how your solutions embody the principles you're discussing. This combination of verbal and nonverbal communication strengthens your case and humanizes your intentions. Appealing to inner values isn't about manipulation, it's about fostering genuine connection. When you take the time to understand what truly matters to someone, you show them that their perspective is valid, even if you don't agree on everything. This approach doesn't require sacrificing your own beliefs, instead, it encourages empathy and collaboration, paving the way for resolutions that honor both parties' priorities. In the end, appealing to inner values is more than a strategy, it's a philosophy. It reminds us that beneath every disagreement lies a deeper truth: we are all guided by the same fundamental desires for meaning, purpose, and connection. By tapping into these universal truths, you can resolve conflicts not just effectively but authentically, creating outcomes that resonate with everyone involved. So the next time you find yourself at odds with someone, remember, true influence comes not from force but from resonance, with values that inspire, unite, and endure. 6. The art of using humor wisely in conflict resolution. Conflict is an unavoidable part of life, whether it's a disagreement at work, a tiff with a loved one, or even a heated exchange online. In these moments, emotions can run high, and finding a way to diffuse tension becomes crucial. One powerful yet often underutilized tool for navigating conflict is humor, but only when used wisely. The ancient Stoics, masters of emotional control, remind us that laughter can be a balm in tense situations if applied thoughtfully. However, poorly timed or inappropriate humor can backfire, escalating the conflict instead of resolving it. Here's how to harness the power of humor effectively while avoiding its pitfalls. The first rule of using humor in conflict is understanding your audience. Humor is deeply personal. What makes one person laugh might offend another. Before cracking a joke, consider the other person's personality, sense of humor, and emotional state. Are they someone who appreciates lightheartedness, or are they more reserved? What topics might be off-limits given the context? For example, self-deprecating humor, making fun of yourself rather than others, is often safer because it demonstrates humility and reduces the risk of alienating your opponent. By tailoring your humor to fit the situation and the individuals involved, you create a shared moment of levity that can ease tensions. Equally important is avoiding sarcasm and insults. Sarcasm, though tempting in moments of frustration, rarely fosters understanding or connection. It can come across as passive-aggressive or dismissive, making the other person feel attacked rather than heard. Similarly, jokes that mock or belittle others, even if intended as playful, can deepen wounds instead of healing them. Instead, aim for humor that unites rather than divides. A well-placed, good-natured comment can act as a pressure valve, releasing pent-up frustration and creating space for constructive dialogue. Timing is everything when it comes to humor. Jumping into a joke too soon, especially during emotionally charged moments, can seem tone-deaf or insensitive. Before introducing humor, assess the room. Is the tension still palpable, or has the intensity begun to subside? If emotions are running high, it's better to wait until things have calmed down before attempting to lighten the mood. When used at the right moment, humor can break the ice and shift the dynamic from adversarial to collaborative. Finally, don't rely solely on humor to resolve conflicts. While laughter can diffuse tension, it shouldn't replace genuine communication or address the root causes of the disagreement. Think of humor as a bridge. It helps people cross over rough waters, but it doesn't eliminate the need to build a solid foundation on the other side. Use humor sparingly to create openness, then transition into meaningful conversation focused on solutions. By understanding your audience, steering clear of sarcasm, choosing the right timing, and balancing humor with substance, you can transform tense situations into opportunities for connection and resolution. As the Stoics remind us, true strength lies not in controlling others but in mastering our own reactions, including how and when we choose to laugh. So the next time you find yourself in a conflict, remember, humor, like any tool, is most effective when wielded with care and intention. 7. The power of empathy, bridging the gap in conflict resolution. Conflict is an inevitable part of human interaction. Whether it's a disagreement with a coworker, a clash with a loved one, or even a tense exchange online, emotions can run high, and misunderstandings often escalate into battles. But what if the key to resolving these conflicts wasn't about winning arguments or proving your point? What if it was about truly understanding the other person? The Stoic philosophers remind us that empathy, the ability to step into someone else's shoes and see the world through their eyes, is one of the most powerful tools for navigating conflict with grace and compassion. Empathy begins by putting yourself in the other person's position. Imagine standing on a mountain trail, staring across at another climber who seems to be heading in the opposite direction. Their frustration crackles through the air like a storm. Instead of shouting back or throwing arguments across the divide, the Stoic approach would be to descend slowly, bridge the gap, and extend an understanding hand. This simple act of shifting perspective, from me to them, creates a foundation for connection. Ask yourself, what life experiences have shaped their emotions? What insecurities or fears might be driving their behavior? By focusing on their reality rather than just your own, you begin to dismantle the walls of misunderstanding. Listening is the next critical step, and it goes beyond hearing words. True empathy requires tuning into both verbal and nonverbal cues. Pay attention to body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, and even pauses. These subtle signals often reveal deeper feelings that words alone cannot express. For example, a terse reply might mask insecurity, while crossed arms could signal defensiveness. Active listening means being fully present without interrupting or formulating counterarguments in your head. It's about creating space for the other person to feel heard, a crucial first step toward resolution. Acknowledging their emotions is equally important. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with someone, it means validating their feelings, even if you don't share their perspective. Simple phrases like, "I understand why this situation is important to you," or, "It sounds like you're feeling frustrated," can go a long way in reducing defensiveness and building trust. When people feel seen and understood, they're more likely to open up and engage constructively. Finally, look for the hidden pain beneath the surface. Anger, irritation, and frustration are often symptoms of deeper emotional wounds, fear, insecurity, or unresolved trauma. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. By digging deeper and exploring the root causes of their emotions, you address the real issue rather than just its symptoms. This deeper understanding fosters genuine empathy and paves the way for meaningful solutions. When you put yourself in the other person's shoes, listen attentively, acknowledge their emotions, and uncover hidden pain, you transform conflict from a battleground into a bridge. Empathy doesn't mean sacrificing your principles, it means approaching disagreements with compassion and respect. In doing so, you not only resolve immediate issues but also strengthen relationships and foster mutual understanding. After all, the most profound connections are built not through force, but through heartfelt empathy. 8. Embrace the art of compromise, turning conflict into collaboration. Conflict is often seen as a battleground, a zero-sum game where one side wins and the other loses. But what if conflict could be something more? What if, instead of viewing disagreements as obstacles, we saw them as opportunities for growth, understanding, and cooperation? This shift in perspective lies at the heart of embracing the art of compromise, a powerful Stoic-inspired approach to resolving disputes with grace and wisdom. By viewing conflict as a chance to collaborate, identifying shared goals, prioritizing wisely, and seeking win-win solutions, you can transform tension into teamwork and discord into harmony. The first step in mastering compromise is reframing how you see conflict. Instead of approaching disagreements as adversarial battles, view them as opportunities for cooperation. Imagine two streams converging into a single river, each bringing its unique flow but ultimately working together toward a common destination. As Epictetus reminds us, seek not to have things happen as you wish, but rather wish them to happen as they do, and you will live a tranquil life. By shifting your mindset from competition to collaboration, you open the door to creative problem-solving and mutual respect. Ask yourself, how can this disagreement help us find a better way forward? This simple change in attitude sets the stage for constructive dialogue. Next, identify shared goals. Even in the most contentious conflicts, there are often underlying objectives that both parties share. For example, co-workers may disagree on project strategies, but their ultimate goal is likely the same: success for the team or organization. Similarly, partners in a relationship might argue about household responsibilities, yet both want a happy, balanced home. By focusing on these shared aspirations, you create a foundation for compromise. Look beyond the immediate argument and ask, what long-term outcomes do we both care about? Finding alignment in your goals fosters unity and reduces resistance. Once you've identified shared goals, it's time to prioritize, and be willing to concede. Not every detail in a conflict is worth fighting over. Some issues are non-negotiable, while others can be let go without compromising your core values. The key is knowing which is which. As Marcus Aurelius advises, it is not the event itself that troubles us, but our view of it. Decide what truly matters most to you and be prepared to let go of less critical points. This willingness to concede doesn't mean weakness, it means strength. It shows that you're committed to finding a solution that benefits everyone involved. Finally, seek win-win solutions. Compromise isn't about one side giving in entirely, it's about crafting outcomes where all parties feel heard and valued. Aim for resolutions that address the needs of both sides, even if imperfectly. For instance, if colleagues disagree on resource allocation, explore ways to redistribute tasks or timelines so everyone feels supported. Remember, sustainable compromises require flexibility. Be open to revisiting agreements if circumstances change or new information arises. Communication remains key throughout this process. By embracing the art of compromise, you demonstrate adaptability, empathy, and a commitment to collective well-being. You exchange rigidity for resilience, transforming potential breakdowns into breakthroughs. In doing so, you not only resolve conflicts but also build stronger, more harmonious relationships. After all, life is rarely black and white, it's a dynamic interplay of perspectives. Like the wind bending the oak tree, true strength lies in flexibility, not force. So the next time you face a disagreement, remember, the path to resolution begins with an open mind, a collaborative spirit, and a willingness to meet halfway. 9. Seeking external help, the wise path to conflict resolution. Conflict is an inevitable part of life, whether it's a disagreement at work, a strained relationship with a loved one, or even a heated argument online. While some disputes can be resolved through direct communication, others feel like an impenetrable thicket of emotions and misunderstandings. In these moments, seeking external help isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act of wisdom. Bringing in a mediator or counselor can untangle the emotional knots, provide valuable tools for resolution, and pave the way for healthier interactions. Imagine yourself stuck in a dense forest of conflict, the branches of miscommunication twisting and tangling around you. No matter how hard you try, progress feels impossible. This is where external help comes in, a guide who can lead you out of the chaos and into clarity. A mediator or counselor acts as an impartial third party, offering a fresh perspective and creating a safe space for both sides to express their thoughts and feelings. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, what stands in the way becomes the way. By embracing external assistance, you transform what seemed like an obstacle into an opportunity for growth. One of the greatest benefits of involving a mediator is their ability to untangle emotional knots. Strong emotions often cloud our judgment, making it difficult to see the other person's perspective or articulate our own needs clearly. A skilled counselor can help both parties step back from the intensity of the moment, fostering a calmer and more productive dialogue. They don't take sides, instead, they focus on understanding each person's viewpoint and finding common ground. This process not only resolves the immediate issue but also strengthens communication skills for future conflicts. Mediators and counselors also bring expertise in conflict resolution techniques. They are trained to identify underlying issues, reframe negative thought patterns, and introduce strategies that promote understanding and cooperation. For example, they might teach active listening skills, encourage empathy, or suggest ways to de-escalate tension. These tools aren't just useful for resolving the current dispute, they're lifelong skills that can improve all your relationships. As Epictetus reminds us, we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. With the right guidance, you can learn to respond to conflict with grace and poise. Perhaps the most important lesson here is that asking for help is not a weakness, it's a sign of strength and wisdom. It takes courage to admit that you need support, especially in emotionally charged situations. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of self-awareness and humility, recognizing that no one has all the answers. By reaching out for assistance, you demonstrate a commitment to resolving the conflict constructively and investing in personal growth. Involving a mediator or counselor doesn't mean giving up control, it means empowering yourself and others to navigate the complexities of conflict more effectively. Whether it's a workplace dispute, a family quarrel, or a friendship on the rocks, external help can illuminate the path forward. So the next time you find yourself trapped in a seemingly unsolvable conflict, remember, there's no shame in seeking guidance. Sometimes, the wisest decision you can make is letting someone else light the way. 10. The power of forgiveness, a path to inner freedom. Holding on to anger and resentment is like carrying a heavy rock everywhere you go. It weighs you down, drains your energy, and keeps you anchored in the past. Yet, despite knowing this, many of us struggle to let go of grudges. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who mastered emotional control, teach us that forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, it's about freeing ourselves from the chains of bitterness. By acknowledging the impact of holding on to anger, considering the broader context, letting go of negative feelings while remembering the lessons, and practicing active forgiveness, we can reclaim our peace of mind and move forward with clarity. The first step in forgiveness is recognizing how much anger truly costs us. Seneca, one of history's most famous Stoics, once said, "He who is revengeful lives with a wound always open." When we cling to resentment, we allow the person who wronged us to continue hurting us long after the event has passed. Holding on to anger saps our vitality, clouds our judgment, and prevents us from experiencing joy and serenity. By choosing to forgive, we take back control of our mental state and prioritize our well-being over dwelling on someone else's actions. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's an act of self-love that allows you to unshackle yourself from the weight of negativity. Next, consider the broader context. Sometimes, understanding why someone acted the way they did can soften the sharp edges of resentment. This doesn't mean excusing their behavior but rather seeing it through a wider lens. Were they acting out of fear, ignorance, or pain? People rarely harm others without some underlying reason, even if it's flawed or misguided. By stepping back and examining the situation more objectively, we create space for empathy to grow. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Shifting your perspective can reduce the emotional charge of the memory and help you see it as part of a larger human story. Letting go of negative feelings doesn't mean forgetting what happened. Instead, it means releasing the toxic emotions tied to the experience while retaining the lessons learned. Forgiveness is about transformation, not erasure. Reflect on what the conflict taught you about yourself, your boundaries, or your resilience. These insights become tools for personal growth, ensuring that the pain wasn't endured in vain. Remembering the lessons helps you avoid repeating patterns while allowing you to release the emotional baggage. Finally, practice active forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a one-time event, it's a continuous process. Negative thoughts and feelings may resurface, and when they do, consciously choose to let them go again. Techniques like journaling, mindfulness, and meditation can help you stay grounded in forgiveness. Write down your thoughts, focus on gratitude, or visualize releasing the burden of anger. Each small act reinforces your commitment to moving forward. By embracing forgiveness, you demonstrate strength, not weakness. You choose to rise above the hurt and live with grace and purpose. So the next time you find yourself weighed down by resentment, remember, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a gift that sets you free to embrace a brighter, calmer future. 11. Grow from conflict, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth. Conflict is often seen as something to avoid, a source of stress, frustration, or even failure. But what if conflict wasn't just an obstacle? What if it could be a catalyst for personal growth and self-improvement? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who mastered the art of resilience, teach us that every challenge carries within it the seeds of transformation. By viewing conflict as a learning opportunity, analyzing your role in it, turning observations into actionable improvements, and seeking guidance and feedback, you can emerge stronger, wiser, and more equipped to handle life's inevitable challenges. The first step in growing from conflict is shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing disagreement as a negative experience, reframe it as a chance to learn and evolve. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to us that troubles us, but our view of it. When you approach conflict with curiosity rather than defensiveness, you open yourself up to new insights. Ask yourself, what can this situation teach me about myself, my relationships, or my approach to problems? This simple shift in perspective transforms conflict from a battleground into a classroom. Next, take a hard look at your role in the conflict. It's easy to point fingers or assign blame, but true growth begins with self-reflection. Consider how your actions, words, or reactions may have contributed to the situation. Were you too quick to judge? Did you fail to listen actively? Perhaps your emotions got the better of you. Analyzing your role doesn't mean taking all the blame, it means understanding your part in the dynamic so you can make meaningful changes. Self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth, and conflict provides a unique mirror for examining your strengths and weaknesses. Once you've identified areas for improvement, turn those observations into actionable steps. For example, if you realize that poor communication escalated the disagreement, commit to practicing active listening or expressing yourself more clearly in the future. If emotional reactions were the issue, explore mindfulness techniques to help you stay calm under pressure. The key is to focus on tangible, doable actions that address the root causes of the conflict. Growth isn't just about reflection, it's about applying what you've learned to create positive change. Finally, don't hesitate to seek guidance and feedback. A trusted mentor, friend, or therapist can provide valuable perspective, helping you see blind spots you might have missed. Discussing your experiences with someone else not only deepens your understanding but also fosters accountability. Their input can inspire new strategies for handling similar situations in the future. Remember, growth thrives in community. There's no shame in leaning on others for support as you navigate your journey. By embracing conflict as a teacher, analyzing your contributions, implementing improvements, and seeking feedback, you transform adversity into an opportunity for self-discovery. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you can emerge from conflict stronger and wiser than before. So the next time you find yourself in the midst of a disagreement, remember, the goal isn't just resolution, it's growth. With the right mindset and tools, every conflict becomes a stepping stone toward becoming the best version of yourself. 12. Setting boundaries, the path to respect and inner peace. In a world filled with constant interactions, demands, and pressures, setting boundaries is not just an act of self-care, it's a necessity. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw to protect our well-being, values, and peace of mind. They allow us to navigate relationships and conflicts with clarity and confidence. Drawing from Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes self-mastery and emotional resilience, setting boundaries is about taking control of what you can influence, your reactions, choices, and limits. By identifying your needs and values, communicating boundaries respectfully, maintaining consistency, and preparing for resistance, you can create healthier dynamics in all areas of life. The first step in setting boundaries is understanding your inner compass. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you. What are your core values? What behaviors align with your sense of peace and fulfillment, and which ones drain your energy or violate your personal space? For example, if you value honesty, you might set a boundary against engaging in gossip. If you need solitude to recharge, you might establish limits around how much social interaction you can handle in a day. Identifying these needs and values provides the foundation for clear and meaningful boundaries that honor who you are. Once you've clarified your boundaries, the next step is communicating them respectfully and clearly. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to us that troubles us, but our view of it. When expressing your limits, focus on framing them in a way that invites understanding rather than defensiveness. Use "I" statements to assert your needs without blaming others. For instance, instead of saying, "You always interrupt me," try, "I feel valued when I'm able to express my thoughts fully." This approach fosters mutual respect and minimizes conflict. Consistency is key to maintaining boundaries. Once you've set them, it's essential to uphold them steadfastly, like a lighthouse enduring the storm. Others may test your limits, especially if they're accustomed to different dynamics. But remember, consistency isn't just about protecting yourself, it's also about teaching others how to treat you. If someone crosses a boundary, calmly reiterate it without guilt or hesitation. Over time, this unwavering commitment to your limits earns you respect and reinforces your self-worth. Of course, setting boundaries often comes with resistance. People may feel hurt, confused, or even push back against your newfound assertiveness. Prepare for these moments by reminding yourself why your boundaries matter. Practice responses that reaffirm your position while remaining compassionate. For example, if a friend reacts negatively to your need for alone time, you might say, "I care about our friendship deeply, and taking this time helps me show up as my best self for you." Anticipating resistance allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. By identifying your needs, communicating clearly, staying consistent, and preparing for challenges, you transform boundaries from mere concepts into powerful tools for self-respect and harmony. Setting boundaries doesn't mean building walls, it means creating a safe space where you and others can thrive. Like a Stoic sage navigating life's storms, you learn to master your inner world, cultivating strength, dignity, and peace along the way. So take a stand for your values, honor your needs, and watch as your relationships, and your spirit, flourish. 13. Remember, you control your reactions, the power of emotional mastery. Life is unpredictable, and challenges often come without warning. Whether it's a rude comment from a coworker, an unexpected traffic jam, or a disagreement with a loved one, external events can feel like storms threatening to disrupt our peace. But here's the truth, while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. This powerful Stoic principle reminds us that true strength lies not in dominating the world around us, but in mastering our inner reactions. By recognizing your triggers, creating space between stimulus and response, shifting your perspective, and choosing your response carefully, you can navigate life's storms with grace and resilience. The first step in mastering your reactions is understanding what sets you off. Everyone has emotional triggers, specific words, actions, or situations that spark frustration, anger, or anxiety. For some, it might be criticism. For others, it could be interruptions or dismissive behavior. Take time to reflect on moments when you felt overwhelmed by emotion. What patterns emerge? Are there particular people or scenarios that consistently push your buttons? Recognizing these triggers is the first step toward gaining control over them. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to us that troubles us, but our view of it. Awareness gives you the power to interrupt automatic reactions before they take hold. Once you've identified your triggers, the next step is creating space between the event, stimulus, and your reaction, response. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to act impulsively, letting emotions dictate your behavior. However, this rarely leads to productive outcomes. Instead, pause. Take a deep breath, or several, and give yourself room to process. Imagine standing at the edge of a rushing river. Jumping in immediately could sweep you away, but pausing allows you to assess the situation safely. This deliberate delay creates clarity, enabling you to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. Changing your perspective on the situation is another critical tool for regaining control. Often, our reactions are shaped more by how we interpret events than by the events themselves. For example, a colleague's blunt feedback might feel like a personal attack, but reframing it as constructive criticism changes its impact entirely. Ask yourself, what's another way to look at this? Could there be a silver lining or an opportunity for growth? Shifting your mindset transforms obstacles into lessons and frustrations into stepping stones. Finally, choose your response carefully. With awareness, space, and perspective in place, you're now equipped to make intentional decisions. Consider your options. Will reacting with anger escalate the tension? Would responding calmly diffuse it? Remember, every action has consequences, positive or negative. By selecting a measured, thoughtful response, you demonstrate self-mastery and set the tone for healthier interactions. Marcus Aurelius put it best, you have power over your mind, not outside events. By recognizing your triggers, creating space, changing perspectives, and choosing responses wisely, you reclaim authority over your emotions. These practices aren't just tools for managing conflict, they're pathways to inner peace and resilience. Life will always throw curveballs, but how you handle them defines your journey. So the next time chaos strikes, remind yourself, you can't control the storm, but you can adjust your sails. And in doing so, you prove that true strength comes from within.